I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling on my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get set for this afternoon's 16th race of the 8th season of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, capping off our race weekend here from the Hillside Raceway. This was a venue that last season found itself in the heart of playoff country. It was the first race of the round of 12. It pretty much set up who was going to advance into the round of 8. However, the racetrack was not without some flaws. Drivers get involved in wrecks, they slide down to the apron, they get stuck, have to call a tow. We saw that play a huge part into eventually moved on into the next round of the playoffs. The pit road here is kind of interesting, with cars merging across the racetrack to make a pit stop and merging out across the racetrack after their pit stop is complete. With all of that, NNSCRA officials decided to swap its positioning in the schedule, moving it out of the playoffs and putting it in an equally critical spot here, 16th race of the season in what we dub the push towards the playoffs segment. So we'll see what happens here this afternoon. It certainly could play a huge part into who's eventually going to make it into the playoff grid, and a driver that's certainly hoping that it could be the case for him is the guy that will start on the pole position, that being Michael Norman. Now, Michael's got a lot of momentum coming into this as well. Right now, he is the last driver that would be locked into the playoffs on points, 10th in overall standings. He's still searching for that first victory, but this is a driver that a few weeks ago, before the All-Star break, found himself in the top 10, slipped down, and now has fought his way back in. We saw yesterday, however, his Duracell Ultralight Series driver out of Michael Norman Motorsports, Chris Dalton, started on the pole, and while he did finish in the top 10, he kind of faded back after, after a while. So short run speed is good, but I definitely think long run speed is going to win the day. It did yesterday in the Duracell Ultralight Series race. So we'll see though. Michael may have long run and short run speed as he was able to capture his first pole of the season in yesterday's qualifying session. Pardon me one second. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. There we go. So alongside of him on the front row is going to be Joshua Osborne. Now, Osborne, he's got some good history with this racetrack because, as mentioned, where this was positioned in the playoffs last season, Osborne was not a playoff contender, but he went to victory lane at this very venue. He's the defending winner of this race. Brought the same speed, it looks like, here this weekend, starting on the outside of the front row. Joshua Osborne is a driver that I feel has really kind of been under the radar first half of this regular season, and now we're starting to see him come to the forefront as he is 13th, or make that 14th in overall points coming to this one. He climbed up 3 spots in the standings after last time out at Progressive Super Speedway. He is on the uptick right now, and Osborne has made the playoffs before. Remember back in his rookie season when he went to Victory Lane, got his first career win at Pocono, he made his first playoff appearance. This is now his 3rd full-time season with Joanna Atwood Motorsports, and he's looking maybe the most consistent we have seen him look since he joined the Cup Series ranks. So we'll see what he's able to do here today with good starting track position, at least out of the gate. Then you go back to a couple of drivers, and they just need something good to happen Cody Lamas, 26th in the standings coming into this one. The owner-driver out of Lama Racing. He has 2 top 5s on the season, but did not run well last time out at Progressive Speedway. We'll see if he can get something turned around here. It's been a while since we've seen Cody Lamas battle for a championship here in Cup Series competition. And alongside of him is Summer Henson. Now, Summer, obviously a rookie this season. It's a strong rookie class along with Daniel Bouchard and Eric Monaco, Eric Sadler. But Summer Henson has been statistically the weakest of the drivers that are battling for Rookie of the Year honors. However, on the other side, her consistency in the top 15, the top 20, she's been able to now find herself 11th in overall points. She is just outside of that cut line to put herself points paying into a playoff position. So while things aren't necessarily looking all that great for her in Rookie of the Year honors, hey, heck with the Rookie of the Year. If you were able to make it into playoffs and win the championship, that is definitely something that no rookie has been able to do and could make Duracell Next Gen Cup Series history. On the completion of the top 5 is going to be Benjamin Snyder. Snyder coming into this race 26th in the standings. He's kind of down in the same category as Cody Lamas. He's coming off a poor performance from the last race at Progressive, but good starting trek position here this afternoon. We ended up having a Haas racing car go to victory lane yesterday. Colin Grace picking up his first career win. We do have a Haas racing car starting up here inside of the top 10, that being Matt Haas, a 2-time winner on the season. We'll have to see if any information from yesterday's Light Series race will transfer over here to the Cup Series race. Obviously, completely different race vehicle, completely different style of race car as well with the rear spoiler we've got here on these next-gen cars. So it may mean absolutely nothing from what we saw yesterday, but we'll have to wait and see. 140 laps await these drivers. Let's go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 drivers getting ready to take the green. You will see them on the bottom right of your screen on your starting lineup. Your top 10 in points coming into this afternoon. Levi McIntyre, 10 points in hand over Carson Gum. Alexander Rowe, third in standings with Ryan Brommer and James Qualls, your top 5. Jack Mitchell sits 6th, Matt McIntyre 7th. Nick Gunther has now jumped up into the top 10. He is 8th with Quentin Moore and pole sitter Michael Norman. That is your top 10. Those drivers right now would be in points-paying playoff positions. We'll document the wild card spot drivers coming to this afternoon here in just a moment. Ford, Chevrolet, Toyota. Your first 2 rows. Green flag is out. We're racing at Hillside. Michael Norman will lead lap 1. Cody Lama slots into 2nd. Battle for 3rd. Near contact there between Benjamin Snyder and Joshua Osborne. Connor Breton really loose there off of turn 2 in the 5th position. Cold tires here. You gotta wait for these Goodyears to warm up to get that optimal grip. These drivers slip sliding around here in the early stages. 3 wide behind. That's Dylan Poteet shooting up the inside. Putting Summer Henson in the middle. That's Caleb Fogler, who is way up on the top of that 3 wide formation. Jessica Shelton now trying to make her way up into the top 10. Now this is a battle for 8th between herself and Caleb Fogler. Jack Mitchell, a former winner on the season, looking on. Kyle Langland back there, the Icebreakers 93. Took part in the Lights race yesterday. Making his, I believe that's his second, his second start of the season, second Cup Series start of his career. As at the front, battle is on for 2nd place. Benjamin Snyder with a look on Cody Lamas, not going to be able to do it. You saw the flames out of the tailpipes there as he had to lift on the entry to the corner. Cody with a nice 3 and 4, though. He'll close up the gap between himself and Norman for the top spot. As we watch this battle for the race lead between Norman and Lamas, your wild card battle coming into this race, it currently looks like this. Number 1 seed would be Matt Haas, 2-time winner on the season, 16th in overall points. Your number 2 seed, Dustin Bolin, who's 23rd in points, another former multi-time winner here in Season 8. Wild card 3 position goes to Eric Sadler with 1 victory on the season, 12th in overall points. Keith Batson right now holds the 4th wild card spot, I should say. After his victory at Progressive Speedway last time out, he gained 11 spots in the stands. He is now 15th in overall points. Connor Breton is 20th in the standings with a victory. He holds the 5th wild card spot. And right now, the 6th wild card spot would go to the driver highest in the point standings without a victory. That is Summer Henson, who is 11th in overall points. Drivers to keep an eye on here. Outside of a new driver going to victory lane, Nathan Ormond is 32nd in points, a former winner on the season. He's 9 points below the 30th standings cut line. Daniel Voiles is 36th in the standings. He is currently a total of 19 points below the 30th standings cut line. If either of those drivers are able to make their way up into the top 30 at the conclusion of this race, then they would jump potentially into the wild card battle. If we have a different driver go to victory lane, though, that's inside the top 30 in points, that's just going to make that wild card position battle more and more convoluted. 5th place under contest, Connor Breton holding off Dylan Poteet. Summer Henson looking on, along with Caleb Fogler, Jessica Shelton, and Jack Mitchell. Doesn't look like here, at least in the early going, passing that much of an opportunity for drivers to be able to pick up spots. I say that, and Cody has managed to get to the inside of Michael Norman for the race lead. We saw in the Light Series race here yesterday, we got further into a run as tires wore down and grip went away. It made it more possible for drivers to be able to generate runs and be able to make passes. Cody trying to take advantage here in the early going of this run, but you saw Michael Norman. I think Michael was able to get back to the throttle more than likely through the center of the corner and on exit, and that's what allowed him to be able to hold Cody at bay, at least for the time being. Benjamin Snyder trying that second groove to take the runner-up spot from Cody, and he may actually be able to do so. We didn't really see the second lane that much of an option in yesterday's Lights race. If anything, you got kicked up to the outside line, you went to the back. Ben holding on, at least for the moment. He didn't get second from Cody. Now he's trying to hang on to 3rd place as Joshua Osborne looks to the inside. Now, they do run different physics here in the Cup Series than they do in the Light Series that we saw yesterday. However, yesterday's Light Series race, they ran 120 laps, and we saw a cycle of green flag pit stops somewhere between laps 75 to 90. We have been told that these drivers cannot make it 140 laps on what they've got in the tank. It will be interesting to see when they make their green flag pit stops. Pit stops did play a huge part into who eventually ended up winning that race. 5 cars had a shot at the victory. Colin Grace ultimately able to pick up the win, first win of his Duracell Ultralight Series career. Looking pretty strong out of the gate are the Blue Oval Automotive Ford Dark Horse Mustangs. Benjamin Snyder holding on to the 4th position right now. Caleb Fogler, the former champion, right now in 6th, looking for 5th on Summer Henson. You know, it may not seem like it, but we've now entered into the second half of this regular season, and there's a number of drivers that they're at this point in time now where they've got to get their season turned around if they're going to have a shot at competing for this championship, and Vogler is one of those drivers. Anthony McCurry, Charles Sanford, Dylan Young, Nathan Ormond, Austin LaPlante, Kyle Matthews, Shelton, if she's going to defend her title from a season ago. They've got to get something going here and now. They can't wait any longer. And people are looking maybe at the schedule and saying, well, you know, if you don't count this race, we've still got another 10 races here on the schedule. But the points are starting to spread out. More and more drivers are going to victory lane. So, you know, if you're down there in the point standings, the most you're going to be able to potentially hope for is a wild card spot. And I don't think one victory on the season is going to cut it. If you're going to, you know, stay down there in the point standings between 20th to 30th, I feel like you need 2 victories to at least feel safe. I don't think one win's going to cut it. I mean, in the Light Series race yesterday, we had our 12th different driver go to victory lane in 13 races. It is so tight. There's like 6-7 drivers that are in the conversation potentially for wild card spots down there. I mean, the way things are looking, the way things have played out here in the Cup Series, I mean, there's 6 wild card spots. I feel like you're going to have 9, 10, 11 drivers that are going to be eligible for wild card positions. There are going to be drivers, maybe up to a half dozen, that are going to have a victory this season that aren't going to battle for a championship. We've seen it happen before. Cody, he's able to keep getting runs there on Michael, but he's not able to do anything with it. I don't think that shallow entry into the corner is really helping to be able to carry the speed through the corner. He's got to set Michael up, I think, for a corner exit pass here. If not, move him up out of the groove. But, yeah, I mean, time's running out. Time is running out. I think those drivers that I listed off, those names, if they don't finish well here this afternoon, they're finding themselves in must-win territory for the rest of this regular season. And you wouldn't think that this early on that would be the situation, but I really think it is. Well, we focused on the front. Let's take a look and see here in the early going the drivers that are struggling at the rear of the field. Matt McIntyre, 7th in overall points, way back here in last. Bryce Egan there, Quentin Moore, 9th in standings. He's way back here in traffic. There is your points battle. Levi McIntyre, Carson Gum, nose to tail in 38th and 39th. 10 points separating those two, with Levi, the points leader, coming into this one. And neither of these drivers with good starting track position, and they are way back mired in this traffic. Tail end of the field. Eric Sadler, a former winner on the season, currently in the number 3 wildcard spot. He's mired back here. Let's move further through the middle of the pack. There's Nick Gunther. Nick Gunther, who's continuing to climb up the all-time wins list, still looking for his first win on the season here in Season 8, but if you're looking at a driver that's had a lot of momentum here down the close of the first half of the regular season into the beginning of the second half of this regular season after the All-Star break, it'd have to be this Mazda out of Garage 55. Gunther has continued to climb up through the points, finds himself now 8th in overall standings. This was a driver that about 5-6 races into the start of the season, he was, what, 20th to 25th, something like that in the points. Ryan Brommer, a couple of weeks ago we saw him get his first win of the season, snapped a long winless streak back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Coke 600. Right now he's holding down the 16th position, just ahead of James Qualls, who is 5th in points. Look at how wadded up it is right here, though. This is from about 10th place on back. A lot of stack up, a lot of check up. Daniel Voiles in the 26. As mentioned, he's the lowest in the point standings with a victory. 36th in the standings, 19 points out of the top 30 in the standings. And He ran the Light Series race here yesterday to get some little bit extra track time. That was cut short after a mechanical failure took him out of the race. Battling right now with Alexander Rowe. That'd be for 13th place. Alexander Rowe, he's starting to get himself maybe into the conversation for regular season champion. Had a great run at Progressive Speedway last week. Third in overall points coming into this one. Only 24 points out of the points lead, so keep an eye on him, especially with the struggles that we've documented here in the early going for both Levi McIntyre and Carson Gum. Jessica Shelton now up in the top 10. As we have had ourselves an exchange for the lead. As we were focused on the back half of the field, Michael Norman bypassed by Cody Lamas. Summer Henson moved into second. So Cody, for the first time this afternoon, out in clean air in the Advent Health Chevrolet. Michael continuing to drift back as he'll lose third to Breeden. Here comes Osborne for the fourth spot. And let's go on board with our defending champion. Listen about 40 laps into this run of just how much brake, coasting, on throttle time it takes in side-by-side battling here at Hillside. One of the biggest things I was hearing right there with that onboard, running in the dirty air behind the 38 of Benjamin Snyder, lifting on corner exit. Why are we lifting on corner exit? It's not to check up for the car in front. The dirty air to the nose is not allowing the car to be able to point off the corner. The car is getting tight, and if you don't lift out of the throttle, you can't get the nose pointed straight. It will go straight up to the wall. That's why drivers are having to bail out of the throttle there. That is why clean air is so important. And Cody Lamas is enjoying it here after he was finally able to get around Michael Norman. That's why it took him upwards of 40 laps to get around the 22, because of not having the benefit of clean air. But now Cody has set sail. He has opened up nearly 6 car lengths back to Summer Henson, who holds the second spot. It's a long ways back to this side, or this nose-to-tail battle for third. Connor Breeden and the defending winner of this race, Joshua Osborne. And Michael Norman has finally been able to stop the bleeding. He will slot into fifth after leading the first 28 laps of this race. Benjamin Snyder, Jessica Shelton trying to close up on him. Boy, Snyder was able to keep his foot in the throttle there through 1 and 2. Closed up the gap. There's our winner from last week at Progressive, Keith Batson, potentially locking himself up a spot in the playoffs. One thing that really surprised me, and I guess, from about 10th through 30th, the points are still really, really close. So we're starting to open up some distance up inside the top 10 in the overall standings. But the biggest thing that surprised me is we got a car down on the grass, on the inside grass. No caution. Somebody had a mechanical problem. I'm trying to figure out who that is. I believe it might have been the 24 of Casey Hoyt. There is Casey Hoyt on pit road. Car was stalled down on the inside of the racetrack in the grass, out of harm's way. Officials do not throw the yellow, so we stay green. But problems for Casey Hoyt. Last year's Rookie of the Year, a driver that came into this race 19th in points, had a great run last week at Progressive, jumping up 4 spots in the standings, but may give all those points back here. And we will wait to see if Casey Hoyt's going to be able to get back out on the racetrack or not. Right now, 2 laps down, make it 3. But going back there on the Keith Batson thing, the big thing that surprised me after his victory is we are now into the second half of this regular season. At this point in time, normally if a driver ends up getting a victory or runs well, they'll gain 4, 5, 6 spots in the standings. Batson gained 11. He went from trying to stay inside the top 30 in points, 26th in standings, up to 15th. That really surprised me, that the points are still that close in the midway portion of the point standings. Which, you know, you go back to what I said about all those drivers that need to get things turned around. There's a bunch of other drivers down in that area that, you know, with a victory could find themselves up in the vicinity of the top 15, top 10 in points. You look at, you know, Cody Lamas. He's 26th in the standings. If he wins here today, he'd be in this about the same position that Keith Batson was 1 week ago. A win, would that put him up into the top 15 in points or so? Would he jump double digits in the standings? It's possible. You never know. Cody continuing to lead. Fastest lap of the race so far goes to the 10th place running Jack Mitchell with a 20.419. He's now running a full second off of that fastest lap of the race as he's battling for the 9th spot with Kyle Langland. Kyle doing a great job. I mean, remember Kyle made his debut back at the Coke 600, ran very well in that race. And now in his second career start, running solidly again. In the 9th position, he is right now the second highest running driver with the rookie stripes on the back bumper. Kyle Langland running for Rookie of the Year honor despite not making all the starts at the beginning of the season. He will more than likely not be eligible for Rookie of the Year next season. The criteria is you cannot make more than 10 starts on the season in order to be eligible for full-time Rookie of the Year eligibility in Season 9, so he's making his second start. If he ends up making only 7 other races between now and the end of the season, he would be eligible for Rookie of the Year in Season 9. However, if he ends up making 10 or more starts, then he would forfeit eligibility for Rookie of the Year in the upcoming season of Next Gen Cup Series. We have not yet gotten an update on Casey Hoyt. He still sits on pit road. As Michael Norman still holding down the 6th position. Summer Henson slipped back a little bit. Was in 2nd. Lost that to Connor Breeden. Lost 3rd to Joshua Osborne. Now under fire from Jessica Shelton for 4th. Breeden now the new 2nd place driver, trying to close up on the 1.5 second gap that Cody Lamas has been able to build. Connor already coming off a victory this season at Darlington, another racetrack that's very abrasive on the tires and relies on long run speed. He is the only driver currently out of Northeast Motorsports to find victory lane. Though I was looking at the points coming to this one, and I was noticing that there are a couple of the Northeast Motorsports cars that are starting to emerge. Casey Hoyt was one of them. After the great run last week at Progressive, 19th in points. Benjamin Miles is 18th in the standings as well. I mean, these are a couple of drivers that, you know, could find some momentum. Austin LaPlante still continues to struggle, though, out of that organization. But whatever the issue is for Casey Hoyt, that's obviously affected him. I have got an update that whatever the issue was, they have fixed it. They have put him back out on the racetrack, but he is 6 laps down. There he is in the middle of this traffic. Logging laps, hoping more drivers run into issues maybe here, but Casey Hoyt for this time being, is currently dead last on the running order. Cody Lamas has bypassed Michael Norman for most laps led on the day so far. 33 circuits out in front, eclipsing Michael's 28 laps. They are the only two drivers that have led so far here this afternoon. But we do have a round of green flag pit stops looming. The question of when that is going to be is what everybody is wondering. As mentioned, we were about 75, 80 laps into the race yesterday in the Light Series before we started seeing some drivers begin the dive onto pit road. We are about 20 laps away from that marker here, but they could be able to go a little further. They may end up having to stop a little sooner. It's PTA physics here for the Cup Series drivers, CTS physics for the Lights drivers. There is a difference in fuel consummation with the difference of the physics. Looking at lap times here, though, and it is looking like Connor Breeden is significantly faster than Cody Lamas by almost a half second a lap. He's been able to close up what was a second and a half now to 8/10. And if he can get just close enough to Cody Lamas to be able to catch a little whiff of draft, not close enough to get him aero tight, but just enough to give him some good straight line speed, Breeden could have something to say about this race lead before we get into the pit stops. He's also got Joshua Osborne right behind him. And while Osborne does not have the benefit of clean air, it is allowing for a little bit of a two-car tandem. Because we got another car down there on the apron. That's Anthony McCrory. And he's going to come to a stop there on the grass. Almost exactly the same type of deal that we saw happen earlier with Casey Hoyt. Got it down out of the way. No caution will come out, but Anthony McCrory now the latest driver to deal with some type of an issue. And you gotta wonder if it's identical to whatever happened to the 24 car earlier on. We saw an engine failure yesterday in the Lights race with Daniel Voiles. You wouldn't think so, but this racetrack very, very aggressive on equipment. And we are seeing that here, especially as we go into this very lengthy run. We've been green since the start of this race, 70 laps in, and it is taking its toll. Breeden continues to lay down really, really good lap times. However, as he gets closer to Cody, the lap times are evening out now. He's starting to deal with that dirty air as he gets into the wake of the Chevrolet Camaro of Cody. 2 laps ago, they ran identical laps. Previous lap, he was about 700ths off. We'll see about this time around. Looks like Cody was a tick faster again. That is the benefit of clean air. Now, Cody qualified 3rd for this race, so he will have a pretty optimal pit stall near the exit of pit road. We're going to have to see here if there's going to be any benefit to pitting early, because in yesterday's Light Series race, we really had 5 drivers in the hunt for the win before the pit stop cycle. When the cycle completed, there were those same 5 drivers all together in a pack to compete for the checkered flag. Things are a little bit more spread out here, obviously. You know, got about, 7, 8 car lengths back from Lamas to Breeden, another 4 car lengths back to Joshua Osborne. So there could be a difference in the delta of pitting early, taking advantage of the fresh tires in the outlap here more so than there was in the Lights race yesterday. But it is kind of hard to visualize looking at the lap times of how much time you can actually gain on fresh Goodyears. Most of these drivers up here at the front, they're running a second to about 1.2 seconds slower than the fastest laps that they put down. Jessica Shelton's made her way now into the 4th position. She got around Summer Henson. Henson now back to 5th under fire from the pole sitter Michael Norman and last week's winner Keith Batson. Well, they got Casey Hoyt back out after his unscheduled pit stop. The same will not be said for Anthony McCrory. Anthony is going to be the first retiree from the race. They have pushed him back behind the wall. He will finish 42nd here this afternoon. The struggling season continues for the driver out of Garage 55. And Cody's about to deal with some struggles because his clean air advantage is going away. He's now caught the tail end of the field. That is Matt McIntyre in the 40th position, last car on the lead lap. If they can't make it on fuel, I'm going to be honest with you, we've crossed the halfway point. If I'm Cody, I'm pitting. I don't think he's going to, but I think that would be good strategy right now, as Cody's going to have to start dealing with traffic. Drivers that just did not hit the setup here this weekend. And a couple of them, top 10 in the points coming into this one. Matt McIntyre, 7th in points, just ahead of him. Quentin Moore, 9th in the standings. Not the weekend they were looking for here at Hillside. A couple of drivers have had issues, but it hasn't brought out a caution to save them. And now they're going to have to try and hold Cody off. They're going to have to hope that they make really, really good adjustments here on the green flag pit stop, but they have not had anything good in terms of track position since the drop of the green flag. And keep an eye on the interval here. 1/10 of a second was cut down there by Connor Breton as Cody is having to deal with traffic, dirty air. Matt McIntyre fighting to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. Nice exit there by Cody. Let's see, try to set Matt up here maybe for turn 3. Nope, not going to be able to do it. If Cody can put a lap car between himself and Connor Breton, he'd love to be able to do that. But Matt's going to make him work for it. Meanwhile, Breton closing up yet again. That last time by, he closed up by 2.5 of a second. And he's bringing Osborne and Jessica Shelton along with him. Jess has been able to reel in 2nd and 3rd place. She may have one of the fastest cars here on the long run. The defending champion of the series. Only one top 5 here to start out the season. That's her only top 10 as well. She is the lowest in the point standings of the drivers that have started all 15 previous races, but this could be the turnaround race for the Dodge Intrepid project car out of S3 Motorsports. Speaking of S3 Motorsports, oh, look at this! Cody says, all right, I'm tired of riding behind you, and he's going to physically move Matt McIntyre up out of the way. But Matt's going to battle back on the top. And here comes Breton. But some rumblings, some rumors, potentially, as Cody finally completes the pass around the 21. Now kind of Breton's going to have to fight to get around Matt to be able to get up there to Cody. Cody's got a little bit of clean air now before he gets up to Quentin Moore. But some rumors, potentially, considering next season, Season 9 of Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, where teams will possibly only be allowed to have 3 chartered cars per team. And that could make things very interesting for teams, organizations that field 4 chartered cars out of their stables. You look at Young Motorsports, S3 Motorsports, Northeast Motorsports, could very well affect those particular teams. Again, it's all rumors. Nothing's been confirmed, but definitely something to keep an eye on here down the home stretch of the season in preparation for Season 9. More traffic for Cody to deal with, but he does have the lap car of Matt McIntyre between himself and this 3-way battle for 2nd. Breton, Osborne, Shelton, all nose to tail, all stacked up behind the Mako Mermaids Ford Mustang. Here goes Breton to the inside of Matt McIntyre. Here comes Shelton to the inside of Osborne to move up onto the podium. Matt's going to pull down in front of Shelton. Breton going to clear the lap car. Shelton's going to get around Osborne. And now Shelton going to look to the inside here of Matt McIntyre going into the corner. Tried to hook the bottom. Oh, got a wreck! Look out! That's Cody! Along with Quentin Moore and more drivers in! Henson's involved! Keith Batson! Pole sitter, Michael Norman. Caution's gonna fly. That was the race leader, Cody Lamas, who was having to deal with traffic at the tail end of the lead lap. And Cody's on pit road, all torn up. Summer Henson as well. Caution is going to fly, and this changes up everything. Pit road is open. Breton inherited the lead after all that. He'll be the leader coming down here under the first yellow of the weekend, and it takes place with the race leader. Lot of drivers with a lot of damage. Lamas with a lot of damage. Henson with a lot of damage. Last week's winner, Batson. Our pole sitter, Michael Norman. What in the world happened? We were focused on the battle for second. We didn't see Cody and his quest to get around lap machine, or drivers of the tail end lead lap. Cody wasn't even the start of this. This was desperation to stay on the lead lap. Quentin Moore gonna dive it to the inside of Bryce Egan, gets into his left rear quarter panel, and the two of them make contact up the racetrack, nowhere for the race leader to be able to go. And then here comes Henson, gets flipped over after a shot from Keith Batson, and Michael Norman on the apron trying to avoid, could not. And a bunch of torn up race cars. That is such a gut punch for Cody Lamas. We couldn't give him the win yet, but he certainly had the strongest car. Look at this. What do? There's nowhere to go. Joshua Osborne, it was hard to tell there if there was any contact that he made on the right side of his machine. Carson Gum, I think, was it Carson Gum or was it Matt McIntyre? There was somebody else that looked like they may have gotten slight bit of it. Here's on board with Cody Lamas. Just absolutely nowhere to go. This all happening out the windshield. Osborne did get a piece right there. And look at that, Summer Henson right over the hood of Cody Lamas. Now we do have to look as well. Somebody else got involved late, and that was James Qualls. Cody had already teleported to pit road before we ended up seeing this late hit by the 70 machine. Gets down the apron, and right there, he's going to get into Keith Batson. And you see immediately black smoke erupt from underneath the Castrol GTX Chevrolet. So another driver we didn't know that got collected, indeed getting a piece of this. Bring it back live. Less than 50 to go for this restart. Connor Breton's going to have some lap cars on the inside to deal with, including Casey Hoyt, his teammate, Matt McIntyre, Quentin Moore, and Bryce Egan. 5 drivers officially out of this race. Qualls, Batson, Lamas, Henson. They join Anthony McCrory in the garage area. Casey Hoyt's going to get one of his 6 laps back here, at least for the time being, getting around Breton. Breton under fire for the race lead. Jessica Shelton applying the pressure. Then a couple of lap cars before you get to the 3rd place machine. That was Jack Mitchell. Caleb Fogler just got around for the position, and now Mitchell under fire from Benjamin Snyder. Dylan Poteet shoots up the inside. He'll pick up a spot from Kyle Langland. Daniel Voiles makes his way around his World NOS Racing teammate as well. He'll move up into the 8th spot as Mitchell stuck on that outside line. Fuel will no longer be a concern for these drivers. Pit road will no longer be a concern for these drivers. It all takes place in the racetrack, and Shelton will clear around Connor Breton for the race lead. And she will now also get to the inside of Casey Hoyt, and now she's got clean air. Shelton, a multi-time winner last season, won the season finale to clinch the championship. The struggles have been immense this season, but this could be the turnaround race as she's looking now to close out the final 43 laps. Breton is clear into second, however, so Shelton is not out of the woods yet. Caleb Fogler trying to make his way up there. In third, he's got a couple of lap machines in Egan and McIntyre before he can focus on second place Connor Breton. And Mitchell has been able to hang on for fourth place, but he's got a number of lap cars he's also got to deal with fifth place right now being Benjamin Snyder. Breton's been able to pull away from Matt McIntyre. He closes up the gap between himself and Shelton for the top position. Now, before we ended up running a long green flag run, which is what brought Cody Lamas into the tail end of the lead lap pack of cars. We do have a couple of drivers that were involved in that wreck that continued on. Even with this short amount of laps, we may end up having slow traffic that the leaders will have to deal with, and this is the car that I'm looking at particularly, Michael Norman, the pole sitter. They got him back out there, but he is way off the pace, and he is more than likely going to be caught before this race is concluded. He's a little less than half a racetrack right now ahead of Jessica Shelton, so something to keep an eye on. Everybody else that's on the lead lap, to my knowledge, is up to speed, still at full song. And if you're wondering if that caution did anything as far as our battle for the overall points lead, not really. Levi and Carson are still struggling. Levi right now is, last time I scored, in 27th. Carson Gum, not much better, in 30th. So who does that potentially benefit? Well, how about third in the standings, Alexander Rowe, who's just outside of the top 10. Last time by, scored in the 14th position. He's going to gain a big chunk on the top two and may make it a very close three-car fight when we head to next week. At the Iowa Speedway, we'll be in a doubleheader with the Light Series drivers next week. Short track racing, as Rowe now gets the inside of Dylan Young, who had a good top 5 run yesterday, I should say, in the Light Series race. Right now inside of the top 15 in this one. Ooh, near contact there. Matt Haas to the right rear of Destin Bolin. Stacked up just outside of the top 10 here. This is 10th on back. Benjamin Snyder fell back. On the move, Daniel Voiles now up to the 8th spot. Ryan Brommer just ahead of him in 7th. It's another driver, 28 points out of the points lead that could gain quite a bit of ground on Levi and Carson. As it looks like they did get around Michael Norman's wounded race car, but look at how it's closed the battle for the lead up. Shelton and Breton. Both these drivers were multi-time winners last season. Both these drivers were in the playoffs to compete for the championship. Now, we've documented the struggles of S3 Motorsports overall here at the beginning of Season 8. Shelton 40th in points, Kyle Matthews 38th, Charles Sanford 34th. Cole Deaver is the only driver that's really been a glimmer of hope for the organization, 17th in points, but he's still searching for his first top 5 on the year. A victory could really help the spirits of the organization that for the last 3 seasons has given us our Duracell Next Gen Cup Series champion. Matt McIntyre, he's got a fast machine now all of a sudden. Whatever they did on that pit stop definitely helped the adjustment that they made, but he is a lap down. Trying to fight to get onto the tail end of the lead lap, maybe catch a lucky yellow, but not a whole lot of time to be able to mount a comeback either, as we are going to be coming around pretty soon to 25 laps remaining. These two drivers right here, arguably with the exception also of Cody Lamas, the best long-run cars here this afternoon. Cody involved in that wreck at the tail end of the lead lap after leading a race-high 59 laps. I believe at this point in time he would be in line to still garner the bonus point for most laps led, but how good a race car he is not going to be indicative of his finishing result. And again, it's a driver that really needed a good run this afternoon, was getting it, and by no fault of his own, involved in a wreck that takes him out of this one. I want to drop back and see some of these other battles going on, specifically 5th place on back, but I don't want to miss a potential pass for the lead as well. Let's risk it. Let's drop back and find Langland, Mitchell, Brommer, Voiles. Looks like they've spread out a little bit here now. Langland's been able to work his way up into the 5th position. Kyle Langland, as mentioned, had a great run going at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago in his debut. Qualified up inside of the top 10, was running inside of the top 15, ended up finishing out the night in 21st. But looking for his first career top 5 as he's trying to make his way around the lap car of Bryce Egan. He'll go side by side. Mitchell will look to take advantage of that close up along with Ryan Brommer. Haven't talked much about Dylan Poteet this afternoon. Multi-time winner last season, was in the Final Four to compete for the championship 1 season ago. This team has struggled. We've seen some great results out of Carson Gum, obviously, with the victory, 3 victories, I should say, battling for the overall points lead. But Dylan Poteet has not been able to really find his footing. Last week, though, did have a good run at Progressive, jumped up to 27th in points, and following it up with another solid outing here this afternoon. So this could be the turnaround point for the 31 car, and great run there for Caleb Fogler as well. Another driver that needed a good run, the former champion. Arguably now pretty much the pseudo-leader of Blue Oval Automotive. And he's right now in line to finish on the podium, but a long ways up to this battle for the race lead, maybe the race win. Shelton's been able to open up some distance now between herself and Connor Breton, so the fresh tire advantage starting to go away. The dirty air factor starting to come into play. And traffic may be coming into play again here as well. Casey Hoyt kind of held up here behind Michael Norman. I believe Casey Hoyt may have just made another pit stop. Remember, he ended up having an unscheduled pit stop. He did not come to pit road under the caution to try and get one of his laps back, and he just recently came back down pit lane to make sure he can make it on fuel. That's why he's as far back here as he is. He's now 6 laps down. Shelton made quick work of Michael Norman, and now she's going to get to the inside of Casey Hoyt. That's a teammate to the 88, bear in mind. So Casey Hoyt might have tried to hold up Jessica Shelton a little bit to allow Breton a shot. And again, maybe not. Shelton got around the 24 very easily, and Breton's going to have to work for it. That's going to allow Shelton to open up some distance. Now Breton will get to the inside of his Northeast Motorsports Chevrolet teammate. Matt McIntyre will work his way around as well. That's not for position for the 21 car. However, with Michael Norman being bypassed Matt did pick up a position, so Matt's now up to 33rd. First car 1 lap down. And I think we got the tail end of the lead lap cars coming up here in just a little bit as well. I'm looking right now. Austin LaPlante, who's the last car on the lead lap, is running 19 seconds behind Jessica Shelton. And the lap times are anywhere between 20 to 21 seconds. That's only about, what, 2-3 seconds ahead that the tail end of the lead lap cars are there? Shelton might have to deal with some traffic here, and we've already seen how a dominant car that's gotten out in front, that's caught up to the tail end of the lead lap cars, how that's worked out for them. Case in point, Cody Lamas, who's now behind the wall after leading 59 laps in the early going of this one. That's the bad news for Shelton. The good news is, in a few laps, we're going to be at 10 to go. So laps are ticking away quite quickly. She also does enjoy over a second gap back to Connor Breton. So she will be able to take a little bit of time if she catches traffic in setting them up. Third place contest closing up here. Poteet now about 2.5 car lengths off the back bumper of the Busch Gardens number 28 of Caleb Fogler. Shout out a couple of other drivers that are just outside of the top 10, putting together some good runs here as well. Top 15s, consistent top 15s could get you into the playoffs. And right now you got Dylan Young, after running all the laps, in the hunt for the victory in the lights race yesterday, hanging on to 12th. Reggie Fogelman, great run in the 13th position. A couple of the Haas cars up inside of the top 15 after a Haas car won the Light Series race here yesterday with Colin Grace. Charles Sanford, solid outing in the 14th position. And Nathan Ormond, trying to get back into the top 30 in the standings. Right now 16th for the 23. Might be able to make his way back up into the top 30 for a wild card position. We'll have to wait and see. Jessica Shelton, if she's able to close out this victory, that'll be a goal of hers down this home stretch of the regular season. But the gap has closed between her and Connor Breton. Breton is back with less than 10 to go. And you can hear the engines up ahead. They are closing in on the drivers on the tail end of the lead lap, which means Shelton's advantage of clean air could be going away in the closing stages. Breton again, massive gain that lap. He's now less than 4 car lengths off the back bumper of Shelton. I don't know if Jess's car is going away, if she's maybe saving something here, but Breton definitely, at least lap times wise, is the faster car. Now 3 car lengths off of turn 2 with 6.5 laps to go. There's the cars just up ahead. Tail end of the lead lap. Austin LaPlante, a teammate to the 88. Zachary Fitzwater as well. Joshua Osborne, defending winner of this race, was looking like he was going to have such a great run, but got caught up, got a piece of that incident that put us under our only caution up to this point. Shelton now on the back bumper of LaPlante. Got to play defense here. Cannot leave the bottom open for Breton to stick his nose in. And if this lasts long enough, I don't know, 5 seconds back, do Fogler and Poteet have enough time to get up here? Going to be 5 to go this time by Breton. Looking, showing the nose. Shelton slips up the track. Breton's going to go to the inside, and Connor Breton's going to go to the lead. Costly error there for Shelton, and now LaPlante's going to try and forge a path for his teammates. Shelton was able to stay ahead of Matt McIntyre. She's not out of it yet, but 4 laps remaining. Breton looks to clear Fitzwater, but Shelton's going to get around the 83 as well. Breton cannot afford to open up the bottom here like Shelton did just moments ago. Shelton trying to close back up on Connor Breton. Connor looking to join Matt Haas and Carson Gum as well as Destin Bolin is a multi-time winner on the season. He was a 3-time winner last year. He's got his teammate Austin the Plant right there in front of him. 2 laps to go. Shelton tried to close the gap, but it's about 4 car lengths between her and Breton. Now they're stacked up side by side in front of Breton. Breton looking to the bottom on Quentin Moore. This is not going to be ideal. He's going to have to lift through the center of the corner. Shelton is there. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go here at Hillside. Shelton on the back bumper of Breton for the win. Off the corner. Breton with a little bit of an advantage here. Drives it deep into 3. Shelton cannot get back to the throttle. And Connor Breton will pick up his 2nd win of the season. He'll take the checkered flag here at Hillside. Connor Breton, in only his 2nd full-time season, is rapidly climbing up the all-time wins list here in Duracell Cup Series competition. His 2nd multi-win season. And a driver who coming into this one was in the 5th wild card position may have now just jumped up at least to 2nd wild card spot, if not the 1st wild card spot. That's again, provided he didn't accumulate enough points to jump into the top 10 in overall standings. Played it perfectly with the traffic at the tail end of the lead lap. And Shelton was never able to battle back. She got to his back bumper, but had to really lift in that side-by-side battle with Quentin Moore, and that just allowed Breton to scamper away on the final lap. Breton will pick up the win. Shelton gets her best finish of the season, though, by far. 2nd place. Caleb Fogler going to bring it home in 3rd. Poteet in 4th, and Kyle Langland. Great performance in his 2nd career start in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition, as he will finish in 5th place. But for Shelton, Fogler, Poteet, those were well-needed runs. They weren't wins, but they needed these finishes here to start making some kind of a push towards a playoff position. A win will help, but they need to follow up with consistent finishes in the races that they don't end up winning. Ryan Brommer, great run for him in 6th. Man, keep an eye here on Brommer and Alexander Rowe, who finished in 9th. Because Levi McIntyre and Carson Gum did not finish all that well. And that could close it up as far as the points gap. We could have 4 drivers in the conversation for the regular season championship heading into Iowa next week. Daniel Voiles, good run there. World NOS Racing, both their cars finishing inside of the top 7. Great run for Voiles, well needed as he's trying to climb his way back up into the top 30 in points. Destin Bolin, solid outing for him in 8th as right now, he's still in that wild card conversation with his 2 victories on the season. We mentioned about Alexander Rowe. Top 10 run, was 24 points out of the points lead. He may be down, maybe even to single digits behind the points lead and next week. And Jack Mitchell, good run for him as well. He's kind of stagnated with his momentum, it seemed, after the All-Star break. Solid top 10 run, was in the top 10 all day. This could get him back into the hunt for that regular season championship as well. Matt Haas, great run in 11th. Dylan Young, Reggie Fogelman, Laura Chung, Charles Sanford, your top 15. Nathan Ormond is 16th enough to get him back into the top 30 in points, potentially for a wild card spot. We'll have to wait and see. Breton, a former winner, does not take away a wild card spot from somebody as a new winner. And take a look at Carson Gum and Levi McIntyre. Levi 20th, Carson 23rd. Certainly a lot better than where they were running prior to that caution coming out, but they will definitely open up the door for drivers like Rowe and Brommer to close up the points gap and get into the fight as well. Levi 3 positions ahead of Carson, which means it'll be 13 points at least between those two. But where do the 46 and the 87 factor in? We'll have to wait and find out. Drivers that did not get the runs they were looking for. Osborne got collected up, obviously, in that incident. He finishes in the 30th position, albeit on the lead lap. Michael Norman started on the pole. He had a strong top 10 car all day long. He was involved in that wreck, finishes 2 laps down in 36th. Unscheduled pit stop for Casey Hoyt. Mechanical problems plague him. He was 7 laps down in 37th. And then 5 drivers out of the race were James Qualls, Keith Batson, Cody Lamas, Summer Henson, and Anthony McCrory. Anthony with a mechanical failure. The other 4 involved in our only caution of the day. Big hit for Cody Lamas after he looked like he had the car to win, led 59 laps. Keith Batson coming off of his victory last week at Progressive. James Qualls, top 10 in points. Summer Henson just outside the top 10 in points. These drivers did not need these DNFs here this afternoon. They will look to rebound next week at Iowa Speedway. But Connor Breton becomes the 4th driver this season to go to victory lane multiple times, joining Carson Gum, Destin Bolin, and Matt Haas. This may have all but secured him yet another appearance in the playoffs, as he has his 2nd straight multi-win season of his career. Thank you all for tuning in to this afternoon's race from Hillside. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We have shown your full figure results. You're now looking at your point standings heading into Iowa Speedway next week. Cannot wait for that doubleheader with lights and Cup Series action. Hope you guys will join us, but until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.